And so you kind of touched on this a little bit, but the other video that I wanted you to talk about was the one like startup costs. So if I was to jump into reloading, I want to know again, is it affordable, right? Because I look at, you're doing $550 and I'm like, there's no way I'm paying for that. Like there's no way. I've looked it up in the past. I don't remember exactly how much it is, but I know it's not,
it's not one of the most inexpensive ones.
Yeah, exactly. It's, so, I guess you could just talk about startup costs in general. Like you mentioned, you can get a Lee loader or something, or a single stage press instead of a progressive, that type of stuff. So how do we make startup costs affordable? So I don't feel like I got to go spend $2,000 just to get into reloading.
Yeah. One thing that you bring up an interesting point about, the concern concern that people has is the startup costs. The other concern that I've noticed a lot in comments as I read through comments on my videos, and I do read through all the comments, I have noticed people are concerned with cost for startup and space. And I will tell you that both of those instances can be tailored to exactly what you want and need and can afford, either space-wise or money-wise. For example, I have this single stage press right here. This is an RCBS press, and you can see how small this is. This will get the job done. And yes, you're going to have to do one thing at a time when you use this. You're going to have to go through and deprime one case at a time before you move on to the next step. But somebody that has an apartment that's concerned about size, mount this to a piece of plywood and you can anchor it to your dining room table. And, this press is going to be the most inexpensive option that you can find. Obviously you have the presses that are more inexpensive, like RCBS and Lee. Lee is another inexpensive one. When you get up to like Hornady and Dillon, you're going to be looking at ones that are a little more costly. But if you want to get started out and you're asking yourself, I don't want to spend a lot of money because I don't know if I'm even going to like doing it or not. And this is a really good way to go. So you can actually get presses for, $60, a new single stage press. So I do have another, I'm being handed lots of cool things tonight.
Oh, wow.
So this is actually a Lee progressive press. And you can see this is one that has been, I would say this is probably 30 years old, and it still works, so you don't have to even go out and buy something that's brand new, but you can see that it's got everything that you need right here. So again, you can put as much or as little into it as you want, and you're going to be able to, I got to move this out of my way. You're going to be able to, get started. And then as you find out that you like it, you can keep upgrading. What we're planning to do next, we've got the 550C right now. The next thing we want to do is get the 750, the Dillon 750. And we're planning to make the Dillon 750 just be, our straightforward 9mm reloading machine. And then we'll be able to do the other calibers that we don't load quite as much on our 550. We can use our quick change kit to change that stuff out and, load what we need on that. But, if you want to, I would say you can get started very easily for, definitely less than $200, because you can buy an inexpensive press. There are a few other things, like I talked about in my startup cost video, that you need. You need like powder measures so that you know how much powder you're charging. You'll need a depriming tool. You need the tumbler and media for that. But all of those things, there are just huge price ranges of everything. And all you have to do even is walk into Cabela's and look, and you can see, all right, well, I need to buy calipers. I can buy calipers for anywhere from, $15 on Amazon to, $200.
Yeah.
So it's all about looking around and seeing what's available and what fits your budget and your needs and your desires, what you want to put into it. Oh, and Facebook Marketplace. I should also point out Facebook Marketplace is another great place to look for stuff like that.
Yeah.
Obviously, they cannot sell, guns and
Right.
firearms and stuff like that, but you can sell stuff like this on Facebook Marketplace. So that's also a great place to look. And, you just have to be willing to sometimes, put in a little more footwork to find that stuff, but it's definitely out there.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought of that. I mean, I'm the type of person I most of the time just think brand new, and I got to go get the nicest thing. And so I look at, So like I said, I look at that deal and I'm like, yeah, that's way too much. I'm not spending that.
Yeah.
But that's I do like especially that second press that you showed of you talking about space being affordable too. I mean, that looks like you could set that thing on the floor and just go nuts.
Exactly.
Or on top of a table or something. It's already mounted to a board, and just set it somewhere that you already have space. And
yep, exactly. And then, the only other thing you have to concern yourself with is buying the dies. And I think, usually when people start out, they're only going to start out loading one caliber. And so you really only need to concern yourself with buying one set of dies. And of course, like everything else in the reloading world, dies can vary so much in price. And, if I go buy a set of, say, 45 ACP dies from Lee, I think I would pay $50 for that. But if I wanted to buy the same things in carbide from Dillon, I could pay 3 times that amount. And, again, all of those things can be interchangeable too. So you can use dies from any manufacturer on pretty much any press. Now, there are exceptions like the Dillon Square Deal. You cannot use anything other than the Dillon Square Deal dies on that particular press. But for the most part, things can be interchanged. And in fact, we are using... we have some 45 ACP dies. We've been waiting to find some 45 ACP dies from Dillon, but apparently there's been a carbide shortage. So we've been waiting for months for that. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah. And so we actually have some 45 ACP dies that we've had in our family for a while, and they still work great. And so that's what we've been using on our Dillon. And I want to say, I think those are maybe Lee or Hornady dies. I'm not really sure. They're in a red box. So, they're Pacific. So, any of those things, obviously you can put in most of your presses.